Welcome to Holistic Health and Healing, a show offering solutions for the body, being, and beyond. In each episode, we discuss topics that empower you to take a holistic approach to step into your unique voice in this world. Now, here are your hosts, Dr. K and Hank Setala, the Sonic Shaman.
Good morning. Happy Friday, everyone. Today we are talking about something that should be part of everybody's life, spirit guides, and how to receive contribution from your guides, your angels, your teachers, and all the other aspects of divinity with or without a body.
Yeah, this is a great one. This is one of my favorites. I love it.
Yeah, so where should we start? A reminder to everyone, this is always intended to be interactive. If you have a specific question or an experience you want to share, put it in the comments. We're happy to go down any rabbit hole you would like to invite us down. So feel free to interact, comment, and ask your questions. But where would you like to start, Dr. K? Where was your first spirit guide experience? Maybe that would be a fun little segue into our conversation.
Gosh, it's like Poof the Magic Dragon. It just already went poof.
You don't remember?
I don't. Oh my gosh, I've had so many. I think the biggest message I have to start with, though, is they're all there. You have so much help behind you at all times, but you have to ask. You have to ask for the help, because otherwise, they don't. At least as much as I've learned, and if you want to contribute on that thing, but as much as I've learned, they can't help if you don't ask. Is that kind of
Yeah, and it's more like, as I'm tapping into that is 95% of the time what I would say, but I feel that it's actually the invitation of receiving. So it's not that they couldn't help, it's the willingness to receive. And by asking that question for, hey, help me out here, it's more that your willingness to receive gives them the ability to advocate for you. So it isn't the question so much as the energy of receiving, because if you can be the energy of receiving, would you need to ask? I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That makes a lot of sense. I think that's a great way of putting it. And don't forget, you're still protected. It's not like you have no help whatsoever. There's still, even if you don't ask or if you're not willing, you are saved a lot of times when, you have guides and angels that are there to protect you from the time you enter this planet. So there is that given already. But if you're looking for more guidance, more help, here's the star of the show, as usual. If you're looking for more of that, and he's getting all tangled, and he's going to pull my earbuds out. If you're looking for more of that, then be in the willingness to receive. And always say thank you, thank you, thank you. They like to hear that they are acknowledged, and they appreciate the gratitude when they do send you something. Yeah.
And one of the universal rules, and we talked about this on several streams, not just with regard to spirit guides, but the energy of gratitude, energy flows where your attention goes. And if you're focused on the things that you're grateful for, you're telling the universe, you're telling your guides, hey, help us actualize more of this showing up in our reality. So like whatever you'd like to see more of, be thankful for. So when you ask for something and it shows up, whether you feel it's through your guide or just your own actualization and will, be thankful for that. And you're telling the universe, hey, more of this, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And that works. I can't tell you if there's anything here that's a gem and a golden nugget. That works so well. You might not see it in a day, but I can tell you without a doubt that I have done that so many times, and it works like a charm. When you really can get into gratitude, thank you, thank you, thank you, that this is taken care of. Avoid, okay, so you do it for a day. This is the common thing. We are in such an instant gratification world that we want this right away. But watch what happens in a week, and just be in quietude and be in stillness, and notice the little things that start happening and going your way because you said thank you. It works. Yep. It really, really works. Guaranteed.
Yeah. So. And talking more about spirit guides again now, what would it take for people, because your guides are around you, all this assistance, all this available contribution is around you all the time. The only thing that really changes is our awareness of it and our willingness to receive from it. So just to offer everyone a clearing, this is something you can use, and this is a tool of access consciousness every morning when you wake up. What energy, space, consciousness, and choice can my body, being, and beyond be to walk hand in hand with the spirit of the universe and all other aspects of divinity here to contribute to me, to my possibilities, and to everything I would actualize in this life and beyond? Get the energy of that, and everything that doesn't allow it, be willing to destroy it and create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds. And the short version of that you can use every morning is, hey, everybody, I'm willing to receive everything that doesn't allow me. I'm willing to change that. That's like the short version, but you feel free to rewind this and write that down and use that every morning to be the invitation to receive everything that is around you that could be contributed if only you were willing.
Yeah, it's our willingness it's always that little barrier. But I asked for help and they gave it to you. I think, was it you, Hank, that had the story of God trying to save the on the
the little guy in the flood.
Yeah.
But and see, that's the thing. Like when you're willing to receive, like not having a point of view of how it shows up. Like if you tell the universe, "Hey, guides, bring me abundance," the universe bring me abundance. But in my mind, the only way I'm willing to receive that is through a raise in my paycheck. You're cutting yourself off from 99.9% of the other ways abundance could show up in your life. So you make the and I'm careful of asking a question. Like when you're asking for help, it's not like a child asking, "Hey, can I have a bar of chocolate?" And there could be a yes or a no. It's a declaration of your will to the universe. It's like, this is what I'm looking for it to show up. The only answer when you put it out like that is yes. And here's the contribution. And then being consistent with all of that and looking for where your guides are looking to connect with you and following the energy and doing your part, because they can bring you, like the story that Dr. K is referring to. There's this big flood coming and the guy just knows, God help me. And he knows God's going to come and save him. And a rowboat shows up and he says, nope, God's going to save me. When the water comes up to the second floor, a speedboat shows up. Nope, God's going to save me. He's finally on his roof. A helicopter throws down a ladder. Sir, grab on. Nope, God's going to save me. And the guy dies. And when he goes up and he says, God, what's up with that? He's like, and God says, well, I sent you 2 boats and a helicopter. What more could I do? You weren't willing to receive.
Yeah, absolutely. So these are the angels and guides are not in material form. Well, some of them are, but most of them are not. And so they have to kind of move things around and create a situation for you so you can accept it. It's not like they're just going to appear magically. Sometimes you feel their hug and sometimes you feel their love if you're aware and still enough. But majority of the time they have to bring something to you materially and formulate that. So that can come in many forms. When you say a prayer, it is always answered. It is always, always, always answered. You might be looking in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and on the prayer, I bring this up because I've heard, like in religious circles, that you can pray to God and sometimes the answer is no. Again, it's not the energy of asking. It's, this is what I'm declaring to create into the universe. The answer is always yes then. The variable is, was I consistent with continuously putting that out to the universe? Because consistency is key. Because if you're choosing to create one thing now and another thing 30 seconds from now, the universe just doesn't have time to recapitulate all of existence to bring it to you, right? But if you're consistent with your declaration of will, it will come. And do your part. It's like rowing a boat, right? If the universe is the only one rowing, you're going to go in a circle. But yeah, if you're rowing too, you have that good orderly direction, acronym for God, and you are going much more smoothly with ease, joy, and glory to whatever it is you're looking to create. It can be that easy. But if you'd like to have a more conscious and more aware relationship with your guides, the place that I feel to start would be to take a deep dive into meditation with the intention, say, hey, I'd like to have a more dynamic, a more aware, a more conscious and interactive experience around my guides and my contributors. And going into that, getting into the theta brain state, whether you're doing a drumming circle, doing meditation, anything like that, you're going to start to have that relationship and know that you might not see it, you might not hear it, you might just have a feeling, or you might just know it. We end up comparing ourselves to when we see mediums talking and how they bring through information. It's different for everyone. So don't judge however it comes for you. And it could just be in your day-to-day life. Like you see things showing up, you notice a hummingbird. It could be stuff like that that's showing up and you're just discounting it as, oh, that's just a hummingbird. But let me tell you the story. When we were in West Virginia last year, we were out kayaking on this big lake and my son fell off the boat. And the first time he fell off the boat, because where's the second time, which is where the story is really relevant, we were really close to shore and we were able to prop the boat up and I was able to easily get him finagled back into the boat. Now we're going out, we're in the middle, and he falls out again. And now the way it is, if I pull him and if there's anything that goes wrong, if my hand slipped because he's wet, I'm going to go off the back of my kayak if that happens. And so I said, where to cocha, which means creator. It's like the creator creatrix help me. And when I went to pull him, it was almost as though he got lifted out and set on the kayak And at that moment, as soon as he was like at safety, this hummingbird zips right between me and Max, looks right at me, and then zips off. So tell me that that is not a sign, that's not a communication, that's not a verification that, hey, you asked, here it is. I didn't see it in my mind's eye. It was part of the experience itself. And that is where the most direct communication happens with all spirits. It's with the direct experience, or direct all guides. It's with the direct experience that we're having every day. And it's up to us to realize that, wow, this is me dancing with the universe. This is with me dancing with these other aspects of divinity and creating the reality that I truly would like to see in this world.
Yeah, absolutely. You can use this for little things and, you know, more challenging situations like that. What I a lot of times do is when there's like, for instance, if something's not working or I'm trying to fix something and I'm so frustrated and I'm like, I just can't figure it out. I take a breath. I said, all right, guides and angels, I need some help fixing this. I'm calling on the guides and angels to get this screw in this piece of board or whatever it is. And I calm down and I breathe, because when you're in a state of frustration and push, even though they're trying to help you, your energy's kind of mixed. So when you can do that, just ask for the help, take a breath, step away for 10 minutes and come back. And I guarantee you're going to get that help. So they help with the tiniest little things and the bigger things. And the help is always, always, always around you.
Yeah.
So ask and be willing and open to receive what they're trying to help you with.
Yeah. And if you feel that there is a block that you're not seeing it, another little clearing from access that you could use is everything that I'm not willing to perceive, know, be, and receive about, fill in the blank, I'm willing to destroy it and create it. Because you're actually saying every place where I'm blocked and having the awareness of anything about this, you're having the willingness to get rid of that energy that is creating the block. So again, the whole thing, and I'll just throw in a word in the blank this time. Everything that I'm not willing to perceive, know, be, and receiving about communicating with all divinity, I'm willing to destroy it and create it. Right and wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys and beyonds.
Yeah, tools I use is so different angels, different guides, a lot of times have different purposes. In the morning, I call on, I ask for divine faith, divine intelligence, divine help with, I ask for help from divine faith, divine intelligence, divine intuition. When you call to the divine, they're going to help you through the day. And at the end of the day, they've done their job. So I disconnect from them. I go to sleep. I just ask for divine protection while I sleep. But a lot of times I disconnect and I say, thank you, thank you, thank you. At the very end of the day, I have a chair. I just sit quietly. Thank you. Thank you today for divine help, divine faith, divine power, divine intelligence, divine intuition, divine telepathy, whatever you'd like to fill in there. Thank you. I disconnect from that. And that at least leaves them, they're done with their job for the day. And then you start all over the next day. Those are tools that I use, and they work. And the more quiet you can get, the more you feel the presence of that. And these little coinkydinks that happen with hummingbirds and all these little things, you'll notice that they're there. I was asking for a lot of help last year and even the year before that too. And I was seeing feathers everywhere. Most people would discount that. Oh, it's like a bird had a fight and there's just a bunch of feathers. I'm very acutely aware of these little things, and that's a presence to say, hey, we're with you. We are with you all the time. So they make it known. They make it known.
Yeah. And all these things are happening. Donald Donald Walsh in some of his books talks about everything that happens is in the ever-present moment of now. And the only thing that changes is your awareness. And he gives the example of when you buy a new car. So if you just went out and bought a Honda Odyssey, the number of Honda Odysseys out on the road hasn't changed, but your willingness to be aware of them has, because how often, once you get a new car, you see the same car that you're driving everywhere because you're noticing it. But those cars are always out there. So what would it take for you to just simply be aware and start to notice all the magic around you every day? Ooh. Because that's really, again, it's the awareness that changes. And doing all the actions, the meditations or guided meditations, drumming circles, whatever it is, you're opening up the door for you to start expanding your awareness to be able to perceive, know, be, and receive all these things on your day-to-day life.
Yeah, absolutely. And guides like to hear the thank yous. They also like to be in areas of bright light. So you keep kind of the negativity out. Like I have a thing with dark rooms. Like if you don't put the shades up, I'm like, I have to put the shades up. It's bringing a lot of sunlight in, whatever prayer you choose to use for help and guidance for the day. Start every morning like that and end your evening with a thank you. And thank them for helping you through the day.
And I love that as an analogy. Putting the shades up is like the invitation for the light to come in. So what would it take for you to be that invitation, you know? And going back, you were saying that there's different guides for different purposes. It's kind of a cool thing that in spiritualism, they have this idea that there's a spirit band, and you have 7 very distinct spirit helpers that are with you from birth to death. And that as you go through your life, you have other ones come and go, but you got a primary 7, which you could argue correlates to the chakras, correlates to the 7 rays, all kinds of metaphysical things. But one of those is called the gatekeeper, and that's the one I want to focus on for everyone now. So as you start to open up to all these things, some people have this fear about inviting something dark or connecting to something that they can't handle. The job of the gatekeeper in spiritualism is to make sure that anything that you call in or invite is nothing that you can't handle. Their job is to make sure that nothing can come through that could blindside you or anything like that. So know that spirit's got you, and that there's the spirit band, if you will, that all have these different specialties. One is the healer, one is the alchemist. I forget the rest. I would have to look it up, but they have 7 very distinct things. And then it's interesting that in the Pakokuna tradition, you also have 7 guides. So there's like this correlating thing of this essential 7-part spirit council. I don't know what you would want to call it, but it's in multiple traditions where there's 7, specifically 7 spirit beings that help you all throughout all of life.
Yeah, and you can if you're more on the other side of the angels, you can always call on the angels of prosperity. I call on the angels that specialize in engineering or whatever it is that you need, because you can call in more specialized angels that help you with very specific things that you need, and they're there to help you. The key to it all really is to be out of frustration, be out of a certain way of expectation, and stillness. Because those 3 components, probably maybe a few others, but those are the big ones to me, that I have found that the more frustrated you are, the more you push, the more you squeeze the sponge, we miss it. We miss the thing that comes through that's like, oh, there's your opportunity. Oh, there it goes, because you missed it. And they'll send it again, but you want to be open.
Yeah, just acknowledging a few comments. Mike was saying good morning earlier. He was saying yes to a clearing. Thank you for saying yes to that. And then Mary Davis was saying that I'm working on surrendering today to the energies and wisdom that is circling around me.
I love that.
And then also just calling them good friends. And that is a great energy I want to touch on. That is that you don't necessarily have to know who to call on. You could, a lot of times in healing work, if I run into something that I haven't had training on, I'm just like, well, who do I know? Or who do my guides know that I could call on? And whether or not I know that person or that being of light or that angel or whatnot, there's always someone that does. And there's this introduction where you could then call on an energy. You don't have to call them by name. It's just a willingness to receive that is really key. So if you can get out of the point of view that I have to know so-and-so in spirit or this angel personally to receive from them, get out of that mindset. And I'm just willing to receive from any aspect of divinity that could be a contribution to what it is that I'm looking to know about in order to experience or looking to actualize.
Yeah, that's a good one too, because I think for a while, way back, I was hung up on, well, if you want this, you call on Angel Metatron. If you want this, you call on Angel Raphael. And well, if you don't call on the right angel, you might not get the right help.
And who's to say you can't just call on them all? Like I'm calling all the aspects of divinity that could be a contribution. Bring it all, bring it all. And everything that blocks me from receiving, I'm willing to change that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you ask for the help, it's there for you. I think a lot of times we miss it. Anthony William writes in his book something about like, it's just kind of coming up that they're really busy and they can't always help you. I forget how he wrote it, but I'm like, this doesn't, so call on the angel of faith instead, or call on the angel of mercy rather than calling on Archangel Raphael, because they're trying to answer a lot of, I'm like, that doesn't make sense. They're infinite beings. They're everywhere at all times. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
And the way that I personally believe is that everything is happening all at once in the ever-present moment of now. What is time but a unit of measurement of distance traveled? Every aspect of divinity could be there. It's not a question of being too busy. That might be our manifestation of our unwillingness to receive. If something like that comes up, is it really that they couldn't help, or is there some part of you that's not willing to perceive, know, be, and receive whatever it is that you were really looking to be contributed from? And Mike, I'm not sure what your "oh heaven" comment means, but Yeah, but a reminder for everybody else that is watching, because I see quite a few people. If you do have a particular question or an experience or a comment that you'd like us to focus on and kind of dive down and create some of our conversation around, feel free to comment. And I don't know, I'm already feeling that there might be another part of this down the road that we're going to bring this topic up again and really take I don't know. I'm going to leave it undefined right now, but I'm already feeling that there's like a whole nother element to this that we could explore in the future.
I'm feeling like maybe nailing down, these are very basic tools, maybe nailing down some more specific tools. But I think that the part to really now, guys, just working on getting still, getting quiet, doing some meditation, spending some quiet time talking to them, because the awareness is so key. If you try to use the tools and you're like, nothing's happening. It is, you might be missing it, or it's coming in a way that, you're looking at this side of the room when they're already presenting it to you on this side of the room, and you're missing it because you were expecting it in a certain manner.
And therein lies the real difference between actualization, is that something shows up, and manifestation, which is how something shows up. If you put it out, but you only have a range of how you're willing to receive it, that's when you're missing it, because it's showing up on either side of what you put out. And it will eventually show up that way, but it might take a much longer time for the universe to bring it to you in that way. But if you could be an open book that I'll receive it any way that the universe can bring it, the only qualifier you put on that is bring it with ease. Because everything can happen with ease and joy and glory. And we have Ernie contributing. Getting closer to your inner spirit self brings a wonderful awareness. Losing the ego mind self helps. Absolutely. Ego is another acronym, edging God out. That's when you lose your good orderly direction to actualize these things. Yep. The acronym nerd is back. I'm going heavy into the acronyms today. But thank you for your contribution, Ernie.
Yeah, don't forget, we all have a spiritual cord to source. We are all connected to source at all times. So you can't always ask, you're never disconnected. The spiritual cord may diminish a bit, because when you're saying things like hate, can't, all these words, the spiritual cord actually diminishes. And the more you can meditate and say, I'm open to receiving, thank you, the spiritual cord opens. And as you give, you will receive more. So there's a bunch of things. I feel like we need to put a bullet list together of things to do to increase that awareness, allow more into your life, so it comes in with more ease and grace.
Cool. Oh, and Mary's giving me a new acronym. LOL is live only love. I love that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I also like, one of my favorite acronyms recently is the acronym of HOPE, which is help one person every day. And if everybody functioned from that space and the kingdom of we, what world would we create? And if you could function from that space, in addition to receiving all the contribution that you could receive, how much more potent of a creator and a helper would you be in the world? So it's all tied in. The more you can receive, the more you can contribute. And you start to create this word is from Quechua. It's called Aini, this divine reciprocity, where everything is in divine flow with one another. If you could really be in that space. And that's where I feel we're really moving towards as a species. Neil Donald Walsh has a book called Awaken the Species, where he talks about this, like, of humanity really moving into this kingdom of we energy, and really recognizing that though we're separate, we're also one. And if you can function from that space, what world could you create? Yeah,
that's really where where we all want to head, because the more we're there, the more we're in touch with, I really feel, with the ancestors around us, those that are in spirit form, your guides, your angels, your ancestors that have passed, that are now helping you in a totally different way. They have more help to direct you and show you different things after they've passed. So I think we're all moving in that direction to wake up. And that's a process. So this is a place to start. And I don't know, next week, shall we talk about meditation and the benefits of meditation? Because that ties.
We can definitely, or if we're feeling that we've talked about a spirit guides as much as we could today, I could also just play a mid-roll bumper. We could shift to meditation right now if you're prepared for it.
Doesn't matter to me. We can, or we can continue talking. Does anybody have any questions about, I guess, things that you need in regards to angel spirit guides, how to ask?
We can take a vote. Who wants to hear more about spirit guides? Who wants to shift to meditation? Let us know in the comments. Or any other topic. We can easily shift gears. But I want to be mindful too. Like if we've talked about a topic and and the energy has shifted, because I was kind of feeling that, then we can like shift to something else. We don't have to like beat 40 more minutes out of spirit guides if like we're at a natural plateau point with that. So like let us know if anybody has a point of view about that. And if not, I don't know what this means, Mike. Mike, what does this mean?
There's a bunny.
Yeah. Oh,
Confused.
I think it's supposed to be a rabbit hole, maybe. I don't know, Magic
Oh.
Mike. You gotta tell me. I don't know. but thank you for the little emojis.
Rabbit hole. Okay, got it.
Yeah, but let's ask the question: where does the energy of today wish us to go? What else could we contribute around spirit guides, or are we shifting into something a little bit different? Maybe blocks. Maybe really focusing on, okay, people have the willingness to ask, but they're not seeing everything show up. What are the tools to really start to eliminate the things that block you from being able to see, from being able to feel, experience? And let's see. Mary was asking the questions. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say, and to whom? Oh, that's a wonderful question, just to like be open to, well, to be a service to the world. Hey, divinity, how could I be the greatest contribution? Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom should I say it? That's a wonderful tool to kind of be in the flow of where you could create the greatest possibility for yourself and the world. But how to get rid of the blocks? So I'm feeling that's the key.
Yeah,
and that's going to be a lead until next week too, with meditation.
Yeah, because that's really where things get stuck. If you're trying to get answers, and you feel like you're not getting them, you are, but there's probably some sort of, well, you just use the term block or resistance or not willing. Sometimes they show you something and we're like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, and look, Mark's alive. Mark, you haven't commented on his stream in so long.
We were worried about you.
Yeah, well, I was thinking that maybe the whole jail thing was really real. He stopped getting like, his privileges to go to the computer lab to watch us or something. But Mark is a regular contributor on the show. But he says, could one be cursed with spirit guides that are party animals that encourage you to eat junk foods? I don't believe that. What I do think, though, is that the energy of your own resistance could manifest as the appearance of energies that are against you or whatnot. But really, if you are the only one in the room, because truly source is all there is, so you're the only one in the room and so am I. So everything that shows up that's trying to take you away from being able to be aware is a sorcery of your own creation. So where are you not willing to perceive, know, be, and receive something? That's what's showing up, that's nudging you along in a different direction. And to recognize that and then ask, and this is key for any block that comes up, ask this question: where is the original wound? Where is the original time this particular energy showed up? And you start diving down, because if you get rid of or address that original wound and heal it, all the other things of similar energy that like build up around that, they all just fall apart. It's called, in Access, nucleated spheres. You have this energy flow that's causing all these bubbles of experience popping up. And instead of dealing it from with the top down, like popping a bubble, another one fills in, you deal with it from the bottom up. Stop that original energy flow, the original wound, and everything else just kind of falls apart and pops.
Yep. That's the key to so many, all of our lives, really. All these things that we have that are problematic. There's usually one or two things at the bottom of it all. And it's usually things around not enough, not deserving, lack of love, these common themes that I see with a lot of my clients that just need kind of curtailed. But two things just downloaded for me to ask, and maybe it's helpful, regarding curses. And because I was taught that just in the chronic healing community or other mentors that I've had, that curses really can't happen. You can't be hurt. Only you allow that in. And there was another one. And I just improved, so hopefully.
Yeah. In the Karo tradition, the Pakokuna tradition of Peru, they say that your papbo, your aura, it's like all these things of stained glass. And if you have an original wound, there is like a lens or a particular frequency, a variation in your field, that anything that matches that, there's like an unconscious allowance of that energy coming in. So say if you were bullied and you never stood up for yourself and you have this original wound of being bullied, that bullying energy shows up not because you're consciously asking for it, but it's like leaving the window open for a thief to come in at the night. You have this window open and it ends up bringing people, we're bringing experiences in through this window that allow then for to recirculate this experience that still needs healing.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to comment on this thing, but past karmic stuff, past soul lessons. Do
Well,
we get
point of
into
view,
that here?
we can. I mean, point of view creates your reality, and it is the
Right.
ever-present moment of now. So, like for me, like there is value in past lives. If you have the belief that you're carrying karma through from past lives, that will be your experience. I function more from the place that it is only this moment that matters,
Yep.
and there are some energies that are unconscious that you don't remember the experience, and for those things, if there's a need to put a framework around the energy for it to work with, it may come to you as an awareness of a past life of a similar energy, just because you don't remember your parents telling you that you were worthless when you were little or whatever else happening. I feel that that's the value of the past lives, but I personally don't have the belief that we carry forward from past life or future lives or anything like that, because it is really the ever-present moment of now. But then at the same time, point of view creates your reality. So if your point of view is that you do, then that will be your experience.
Yeah, you don't want to fixate on those things. It is now fixating on things from the past, or this is my past karma, I'm living my karma. Um, that won't behoove you very much and won't help you in this lifetime. Um, so yeah, I wouldn't really, I guess, focus on that. The key though, sometimes with the deeper wound, sometimes the wound is so traumatic that I have clients that can't really remember or have it, or it takes a long time to pull that up, or some people don't want to pull it up because it's been really traumatic. There is, I love to bring awareness to the situation, because when you do bring awareness, it's kind of like, oh, okay, and then we can clear it. But for some cases where it's more difficult, my biofeedback device does actually pick up previous traumas. It will pick up, like, I'll ask, what happened at age 13? What happened at age 43? And it'll tell me where it got stored in the cellular memory, in your sinus, in your connective tissue, in whatever. And it'll tell me where the conflict was, basically, like with conflict with mother, self, friends. And so that helps a little bit to pull it up. And then the device really does send a frequency to try to clear that. I always like for the individual to pull it up, because it resonates more, and then I can clear it with some techniques I use.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's difficult to, for some cases, there may be a challenge pulling up that deep wound, and then you're like, I don't know what the deep wound is. So
Yeah. And the deep wound doesn't have to be something that we would perceive as like horrific, like a rape or child abuse. It could be something like your mom letting you cry it out for the first time in your crib, and you have this first energy of abandonment, or even being cut from the mother, the birth process itself first, and you didn't get to be with mom at first. They took you to the intensive care unit or something like that. It could be these things that are so traumatic, but we have no conscious memory of it, and it's all just fueling these abandonment issues throughout life, or whatever it is. Or it could be stubbing a toe and not being consoled by mom, so saying get over it.
yeah.
It could be like little things like that too, that though they appear little, they can have this huge, because I've had some clients that did have traumatic experiences like a rape or something like that, and just cruise through it, and other people that have had like just these little things that end up fueling all this stuff coming up for them, but it was what we might look at as little. So don't think that any event could be it. It doesn't have to be something we would perceive as, oh my gosh, this is like one of the worst things ever.
Yeah, and then you just focus on that energy of abandonment, or however we put a word on, however that made you feel, so you don't keep using that as a victimhood, or whatever ways we like to use it, and pulling the past into the present and the future, and living from that program.
Now, we do have a couple comments. I'm going to bring up Ernie's first, because then the other two are from Sheila, and we'll talk to that next. Ernie was just contributing that yesterday's full moon helps loosen up emotions. Luna gives the moments of lunacy for those less grounded. And astrology, I always look at as kind of like the autopilot of the universe. If you look at what the energies going on, you can kind of ride those waves through creation, through the Kasepacha, to help manifest and actualize healing and things that you like to create. Now, Sheila's questions are kind of slipping more towards like physical things. And let me preface this first, like at least from the shamanic world, and Dr. K has, I believe, the same point of view from a different perspective, is that when energies start coming into our auric field, they start out here. And as we don't pay attention, like we have the bullying thing, this energy of bullying, and if we don't end up taking it, or this energy of resentment, abandonment, and it keeps showing up and we keep not dealing with it, it gets closer and closer to the body, and then can become physical at some point. Is that kind of how you look at it too, from the pranic side?
Absolutely. The less grounded you are, the more you stay. And I had somebody yesterday that I'll share that story, but it works its way into the field, the more it's we can put it medically and scientifically. According to the CDC, 90% of conditions are caused due to stress. Stress is a very general, I use it as a very general umbrella. So anything falls into stress. Your past abandonment, your resentment, your anger, your fear, your frustration, all that stuff is a stressor. So it will, over time, your shoulders start hurting. And then a rash happens. Then all these things happen. So yes, there is a portion of this that is going to manifest physically. In conjunction with that, there is also the, like, are you around a toxic environment, meaning you breathe in toxicities or you eat donuts or whatever it is that you're polluting your body with. So there are two things. But in her question, how do I get true answers to my health problems?
Yeah, let me read it fully. So Sheila asked, especially for people listening after the fact on the podcast, I was diagnosed with mantle, am I saying that right? Mantle cell lymphoma in 2018. And this week they're telling me I may also have lupus. How do I get true answers to my health problems? And then following up with that, how do I ask for guidance to lead me in a direction to people who may know what is really going on with me? And at first I would empower you to know that you know that you know, and where are you not being willing to perceive, know, be, and receive your own awareness around these things. And I want to share a story with you specifically around lupus, because I had a client who had lupus. And where I went with this is I asked her, what do you love about your disease? And she immediately went to, I don't love anything about my disease, and got very defensive or whatnot. And then as we moved through the healing process, she was thinking about it, and she realized, every time I don't want to do something, I end up blaming it on the lupus. Oh, my lupus is flaring up, so I can't. And we also had the awareness that this lupus was this unresolved issue between her and her father. And so I saw her for that one healing. It was like a group healing session, and I was just sharing what was coming through for me. And then I saw her like a couple months later, and what she had done is she had written a letter to her dad and basically cleaned up her side of the street with what was going on, even sent some money that she owed him and everything. And he sent a letter back, and he had lupus too. And ironically, both their lupuses went away. And part of it was the energy of whatever was going on with her dad. And part of it was her empowering the disease by using it as an excuse to make a choice. Because let your yes be yes and your no be no. Everything else is like a reason and justification. You're putting the power of the choice outside of you instead of it just being your choice. So just one story just to show how a disease could manifest. And truly, like, what are you aware of about that disease? Like, what is the flavor of it? Is it resentment? Is it something else? What is the original wound that is now manifesting as this showing up in your life?
Absolutely. That's a perfect story. And that's one thing I tackle from the very beginning. When a client comes to me, I look into the energy, because I'm pretty darn good at gathering that information either within one session or two to figure out, oh, this is why this is happening energetically. And then I'll come from the science side. As a doctor, I will tell you, doctors are very busy. And not picking anybody, but you see 30, 40 people a day, and you're trying to diagnose everybody. Not that misdiagnoses happen, but they kind of do. And sometimes we do our best based on the knowledge that we have. Like, all these symptoms kind of sound like lupus. All these things kind of sound like lymphoma. And then we go ahead and put a diagnosis on it. So I would encourage you not to say I have and I own this, because they're probably making a decision based on as much as they know. And, a year from now, they may say, oh, no, that wasn't it. It was this. I see this happening so much. And it's because I think, we spend 15 minutes with a patient. Very few doctors spend an hour to hour and a half with a patient. That's why I left, because I want to spend that time and really try to figure things out. And, lymphoma is a type of cancerous type thing. And lupus has a lot to do with well, we won't get into the energies it has to do with, but certain chakras, it manifests in certain chakras that need to be cleaned out really, really, really well, and things will start to resolve and improve. It does take time. So that's my both sides of the spectrum there. And then looking at the toxicities and where things are, it's congested energy that is lodging itself somewhere.
Yeah. And for those of you who haven't watched the show before, like, Dr. K is a medical doctor, like she said. And one of the things that I love about the way she operates is if you go to like emergenceofbeing.com, that's a website where it's a whole bunch of different contributors, and I have so many contributors to add to the site now. So there's going to be even more people on the website shortly. But Dr. K has like this initial I forget what it's called, evaluation, if you will. You fill out a questionnaire, you set up a time. Ideally, you can come into the office if you're local, but it works via distance. We actually have a video on the YouTube channel where she hooked me up to the biofeedback machine and is like showing how it works and all that. So you can go back and find that video if you'd like. But through this process, it brings back all this information. It's a really good starting point, and she'll recommend like a more in-depth program. But like that initial evaluation is only $100. So to have all that information and to be able to make some choices based on what the machine brings back, and then also having resources like her or myself to take a deeper dive into it. I'm more of the Shaman person, and she's the doctor. We actually do healing clinics on the first and third Mondays every month virtually as well as in person, which is a great starting point too if you wanted to kind of get a taste of what we might be able to contribute to you or anybody. I'm sure everybody out there has things showing up in their life that might take that would be benefited by a deeper dive into it, and the biofeedback machine and the other things that we offer are great starting points. But I will find that video actually, and I'll just post it where she hooks me up because it's really interesting. It even picked up on things going on from when I worked at a hardware store and I was working in the pesticide aisle and this stuff showed up. It's like, wow, this thing's really on point. So I had a lot of validation for things going on in my own
you have
health.
to come back because we didn't even like do the full thing.
We didn't. Yeah, we should
just
do that.
Kind of did a few little things, but yeah, it's really amazing. When I saw one of these devices, I'm like, why every doctor doesn't have one of these is because we do the best we can. We don't see into the body. We just base it on all the things we learn. Like, hey, these are the signs of lupus. These are, if they have these symptoms, then it's probably this. Then it's probably this. And let's run some tests. And a lot of times, I'll be honest, even with my patients when I was still working as a regular surgeon, it's like I don't really know what to do here. But as I went on, and I share a very quick story from a client that I saw recently. She came in and I have this arthritic thing going on, and I know there was a part of it that was sugar was inflaming it, yes. But after we spent an hour talking and looking into the device, and sadness was coming up, and I'm like, what is this all around? She started bawling. She was taking everything on from her family, everything. She's like, I have to take everything on. I have to fix everything. I'm like, here's, even the CDC, like I said, if you go on their website and you research, they even specify that they are admitting that 90% of what, I forget the statistic is exactly, I think it was 85 to 90% of conditions are caused due to stress. They're not defining the stress, but this is how illnesses happen. That lack of proper minerals and proper vitamins as basic building blocks for cells. So I have to address both of these things. There's functional medicine doctors that just look into, your testing. But I will tell you that I can give you a zillion supplements and run a zillion tests, and I run very different tests than regular doctors do to get to the source. But if you're arguing with your mother-in-law at home 24/7 and you're angry with her 24/7, it's going to be very challenging to get a really good result because you're in constant state of tension. That has a biochemical response in the body. So Sheila asked the question. So Sheila, I would encourage you to look at all these parts and pieces, these things. I'm a firm believer that everything can be healed. Number one, if you allow. Number two, if you're willing to make some changes. Number three, if you're able to look at things. And number four, able to love yourself, because we can heal instantaneously if we release. But that's a challenge for us humans.
In terms of stress, there's one question to ask is where am I not in the flow? Because stress comes from resistance of energy movement, and that occurs because we're not in a space of allowance for whatever is showing up in our life. Or in other words, we have a judgment about something showing up. So any place that you align and agree with or resist or react to anything showing up in your world, that creates a resistance, which in shamanism we would call it hucha. And that hucha is what accumulates in the body or out here first and then eventually in the body to start creating physical things. But it is all stress. It's all places where we're not in flow with everything around us, or we're not in allowance of things around us. And that's what's creating these energy pockets that can become more problematic. But the more aware we can be of them and actively mitigate them with whatever tools you like, it can be something that can be easily moved through with awareness and a few simple tools.
Awareness is so key, so key. I had some things come through yesterday about just awareness and denial about life and things. But yeah, so with regards to her question, I mean, sometimes I can even get into the device and there's an area where the device will ask the body questions, and I can even type in, does so-and-so have this? is this particular bacteria contributing to so-and-so's whatever, rheumatoid arthritis? There's places I can ask those questions and the body will respond, and it's usually pretty accurate. Or will this supplement help so-and-so? Will this dosage of vitamin D, is this a good dosage for so-and-so of vitamin D? And it does give me it's only a yes or no answer. So it's an unconscious kind of question, but it does help kind of start narrowing things down and what we need to do. So there's lots that can be done.
Yeah. And the other question to go along with it, we already touched on it, is you, everyone out there, what are you aware of that you're not willing to be aware of? And here's another big one for my empaths out there, huge clearing, is what are you being aware of that you're not willing to acknowledge that the body is acknowledging for you? Because a lot of these things also are things that we are aware of and we turn a blind eye to it, but it doesn't make that thing go away. We're just pretending we're not aware of it, but the body still receives it. So that is like a huge key, is like, what are you aware of that you're not willing to acknowledge, that the body is acknowledging for you, that if you were to acknowledge could change everything about your health and experience with total ease, and everything that doesn't allow it, destroy it and create it. And that is a huge, huge thing for all the empaths out there, which is basically everybody. Everybody's on the empathic scale at some level, just some more so than others.
I get so many empaths in my office. I can't even, I'd probably say 85% of my clients are empaths. So it's interesting.
Yeah, even narcissists are empaths. They might just have like be turned on 1%, but they're empathic too. They're just going through great lengths to avoid that 1%, but you can't avoid the 1% because we're always going to be partially aware of things. And then we just have to start, working through. And I see Mike saying yes to the clearing. We have Nanette tuning in and saying yes.
Hi,
yeah. Thank you. And thank you for everybody watching today. I see we have a lot more people viewing across all the different places we're distributing to. So thank you so much for tuning in, and just be the invitation for more people to find what Dr. K and I, or me and Casey and all the contributors, what we're creating here. Be the invitation for other people to find it, AKA share the video, please. And subscribe so you know when we go online. But really, thank you for all showing up today. We have Nanette saying, I needed that. Oh, she's one of our empaths on steroids. Mark was bringing up intermittent fasting and celery juice can heal almost anything. Well, that's a Dr. K statement.
Those are great, actually. I'm a big proponent of celery juice. If you can handle it, it reestablishes hydrochloric acid in the stomach. But sometimes we talk a little bit about that sometimes. Start with 4 ounces, work your way up.
Yeah, and we have videos, like if you go through the Emergence of Being YouTube channel, we've done, I think, detox a couple times, and I think we take it a deeper dive into just celery juice and other things. I'm a big advocate of the Master Cleanse, which is like a lemonade diet. But really, everybody needs to find out what works for them. And there's a video on my other YouTube channel. We're streaming right now to Emergence of Being. There's another channel, the Sonic Shaman, which is just my content. And I have this one video called Activating the Seat of the Soul. And it said that the thymus is the organ where the body and the being kind of like integrate. And to be able to be in communion with the body and being can bring so much more awareness to things going on, and the ability to work together with the body to create and to mitigate and all that. So anybody who wants to deeper dive into that, check out that video. I'll look for the link real quick and post it. And I saw a couple people jump off. We weren't done yet. I was just being grateful for everybody. So that's cool. Yeah, wasn't trying to say we were wrapping up. We still got a couple minutes. So if you have any final questions, comments, anything like that, please ask them, and I'll grab the video for that thymus exercise that I'm referring to.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about intermittent fasting sometimes. But sometimes, because there's a definition of intermittent fasting and actually prolonged fasting, and I have a whole webinar I listen to on that because I keep up on those things, and they're having really great results with it. So it gives the body a bit of a break from it to clear things out, so we're not pounding food.
Yeah. And the one thing too is like the importance when you do start doing a fast like that, like the last Master Cleanse I did, I just started going, and the longest I've ever gone was like 40 days, which is like no actual food intake. It's just drinking this drink. And I thought I was going to keep going. And on day like 26 of my last cleanse, my body's like, oh, got to start eating again. And I had the awareness that for the rest of what it needed to detox, I didn't have in me the items that were needed. And I got from Spirit, you're going to eat avocado, you're going to eat asparagus, you're going to go to like a really raw diet, like a lot of salads and things. And we'll tell you when to start again. There'll be a second run or a second phase of this cleanse. And so I've been waiting for the second part. but being able to be in communion with the body and listening to the body to know, okay, what's the contribution? When do I need to change it up? And really having that information and that working together. And it was also the first time I've ever done a cleanse where I had no hunger symptoms. I had no, like sometimes there are these symptoms as you get into a cleanse because your body thinks it's starving. I had none of that because my body was on board. So like when you go on a diet or any of these things, if the body knows what's going on, you might avoid like hanging on to weight because the body thinks it's not eating and all these other things. I got my video.
Lots around that. Anything else? For Sheila, I would recommend her see a functional. That just came through for me. You're welcome to come to me or find somebody else. But the only thing I'm hearing is see a functional medicine doctor because I think they're going to be helpful for you. Medicine's just getting they're just busy. That's all I can say. They're really, really, really busy, and it's hard and most are not grounded. I feel like I need to teach doctors to be grounded. When you're grounded, you can hear more and you'll get the answer, but they're so busy. It's just challenging.
And Mark has oops, oh, I clicked on the right one. Everything moved up one because another comment came through, so I almost clicked the wrong comment. But Mark was asking, can our former loved ones who have passed away ever be helped to us in any way? Yes and no.
Oh, yeah. I had a different answer there, but okay.
Well, because speaking from a mediumship standpoint, I had this reading once where this lady came to me and she wanted to know if her grandpa approved of her boyfriend because she couldn't marry anybody that grandpa doesn't approve of. And at fellowships in Lilydale, they teach go to source first, and then you reinforce with spirit. And the source information was, this is your soulmate. But when grandpa came through, he said, no one's good enough for my baby girl. And that's what he would have said in the astral. So like when you're dealing with loved ones in spirit, there's a question of what level of awareness, because like we all have these different levels of consciousness, right? Are you dealing with astral level grandpa who was no better off than when he was here in the physical? Or are you dealing with actualized grandpa who knows that this is your soulmate? So there is a variation of energy when dealing with loved ones in spirit. So it's important to be clear on what level am I communicating with this past loved one? Am I getting a true inspirational opinion, or am I getting their personality self that would have been bickering with me about this?
Yeah, I guess maybe my answer was similar to yours, but it's tough to know whether they've really transitioned into the light or have they gotten stuck on this plane.
Yeah.
Because if they're stuck on this plane, then they're stuck on this plane and they still probably have some of those ego things hanging on. If they've transitioned completely into the light, then they are in a higher place to help you because they can see down. It's like you're on a plane and you're looking down, you're seeing all the moving parts and pieces, and you catch the energy. They're in that light. They're in a higher state of being than we are here on Earth. But I don't want to make that confusing because then do people not ask their loved ones for help when they pass? I don't know.
Spirit just gave me this this analogy to kind of explain it. So say you have like this multi-level hotel and your grandpa is in room 101, 201, 301, 401, and each one of those levels represents a different level of awareness. You want to dial as far up to grandpa as you can. If you're dealing with 101, 201, 301, you're getting the physical, the emotional, and the astral levels where he's not going to be as aware, because all of those levels exist at the same time. I know that's confusing. It's not a matter of if they've evolved. It's a matter of where are you able to communicate with them on what level. So that's also important to whenever you go to someone for a mediumship reading, where is the medium getting their information from? Because that same girl, had she gone to one of the other mediums, would have gotten possibly, no, he's not good for you. And she would have walked away from her soulmate. So like it's really important to know like where are they getting the information, because some mediums only work in the astral level and they're not much better off, and there's some mediums that work with different levels, and that's also why some mediums misfire. They want to hear from somebody, but the version of what the person needs to hear from, that medium's not dialing into. So we could do a whole topic on mediumship. It's like the mediumship. There's a lot there, and I should probably teach a class on that eventually, because there's like so much different layers and nuances to mediumship that Alice Bailey work. They actually said that we were going to move from mediumship because the need for proving that there's continuation of life is going to evolve to mediatorship, where it's really like, how can we receive contribution from the spirit realm? And that is a whole different energy than wanting to say hi to grandma.
Yeah. I think we all know the answer internally, and somewhere we need validation for that answer.
Yep.
I think that's just what I heard.
Yeah. And that's why I don't even put readings on my website anymore. What I do have is like intuitive facilitation, which is where we facilitate someone through their blocks through like different processes, and maybe 1% of the time mediumship is even a part of that. Because really, like empowering you to know that you know that you know, that is the greatest gift, because you don't need to have the validation from another aspect of divinity. You know that you know that you know, and then the question is, how can you walk hand in hand with all of creation to create the life that you would actually like to see?
Yeah, that's what I just heard too. It's kind of like, well, do you really need the validation um, from grandma or grandpa when you have
Yeah,
much higher level beings around you, and you're a high level being and tapping into that and asking them for help? Um,
yeah.
Wraps up our conversation today, I guess.
Yeah, that's great. So again, thank you everybody for showing up. If you are interested in the healing clinic, first and third, I was going to say Saturday, first and third Monday of
Monday.
every month, we have the healing clinic at Emergence of Being, and you can do that virtually or you can do it in person. I did post a link to the comments, and you can also find out about more for me or Dr. K at emergenceofbeing.com. You can book sessions or find out about us or reach out to us if you have whatever you need. I'm sure we will try to create something for you if we can. Any final thought, Dr. K?
Just being aware and keep working on awareness and stillness. Keep working on awareness and stillness, because that's where the gold mine is. You'll tap into everything else if you get into the state of awareness.
And for me, a final clearing: how could you have more of you today than any day before? And everything that doesn't allow that, destroy it and create it. Ask that question every day, and you will create this upward spiral of having more of you, creating more, and creating not just for yourself, but for the world. And until next time, everyone, have a wonderful day and stay aware.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today for the show. Holistic Health and Healing is part of the Emergence of Being Contributor Network. Visit us at emergenceofbeing.com for all of our contributors' content and to learn about our services and upcoming events. Please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. You can contribute to the show by supporting our efforts and sharing our content with those you care about and those who need it most.